Okay, now we're over at the lathe. So this is a 3-jaw true adjust chuck. And how you put them on and off is on this model, the lock is in the back. This is where the pin is. So that's the best way, is to have the pin up to the top. Use a crescent wrench. Tighten down the jaw. Okay. So now it's off. So there's the engagement for the pin, and then the pin inside. So when you put the chuck on, if you're going with the pin, if you're going to be going in forward, which is most of the time, you rotate the chuck away from you so that the cutting forces keep the pin engaged in the lock position. On the threaded Hardinge, if you have the chuck, you can only run the lathe in forward. You cannot run it in reverse. Now, just the other day, I did something where I was doing most of the cutting, I'll say conventional and forward, but then I had to get around to the back, and you have to run the chuck backwards. Run the lathe backwards. So when you do that, you have to remember to now go, I'm back to the center, now come forward and lock it. Then you can run in reverse, and again, that way the cutting forces are keeping the pin engaged. Okay, so we're going to take this off. Okay, now we'll come over here. See if I can set this up pretty quick. Okay, so another thing a lot of people don't do with Hardinge lathes is when you use the chuck, the collet closer should be removed. So they come with a cute little pin back here, and you can never get a good grip on it. On both machines I have access to, my personal one, the one at work, I just made a rod with easy, so you can pull it out easy. Take that off, just flip it over, slide it in. Again, well, not again, I didn't mention before, but people aren't going to do this if it's not easy. The one at work, when that person over tightened the nut, I could not get it off, and I thought it was damaged. And what they actually had done is they had pushed the tube into an area that had never been pushed into. So there was 40 years of gunk built up inside, because I hadn't pulled it out because it's obstructed by the DRO, and it had the little pin in there. Now it does have one of these, so I'm pulling the collet closer when I'm not using it. But it drove it into so much gunk that we couldn't get it off, and unfortunately we had to put a pipe wrench on the nut, and it didn't damage it too much. It damaged the paint. But once we got it out, cleaned it up, it's back in service. Okay, so that's the collet closer set up. We'll go back over here. Thanks for bearing with me. I don't want to get too fancy with these videos. Now I got enough things that are already a project. I don't need these to be a project too. Okay, so regular 5C. There's a key slot, and there's a key inside. You find the key and you get it engaged. Then you turn that nut that's in the back with the collet closer pushed forward, and you watch this draw in. I wonder if I can get lucky. I didn't prepare a piece to go in there, but you'll kind of see. You can see it's drawing in. And then when you get the proper tension on the part, then you close it. And it should be a firm close. It shouldn't be loose like this, and it shouldn't be where you got to put all your weight into it. It should be firm. And then what's beautiful about this 5C system is it repeats over and over and over. So if you got to keep measuring something, take it out, you can do that. There's stops. So you can set up stops. So there's a stop inside there so that if you're doing repetitive work, it'll again repeat in length as well. So this is the collet closer. So when you use the collet closer and the step collet, they call these step collets, you put it on just like it's a chuck. Most of the time just turning it by hand is good enough, but you have the spanner wrench as well. You usually need it to take it off, so just seat that pin a little bit. You don't want to beat them up bad. If you ever crash these, you need to inspect those pins. A couple weeks ago there was somebody online that mentioned that they had a pin fail and they took the chuck to the face. 30 or 40 years in the business, never happened of course before, and that's what happened. Okay, so now what you're going to watch, you're going to watch this cinch up. Once you get the thread started. Look. Then you engage the collet closer. Let's see. And then you can see it closing up, opening and closing. That grabs really tight. This is the nut I'm talking about. And it has splines on it, and you engage that lock. And then from then on, it's just open and close, open and close. Once you get the proper tension set, you don't have to do it over and over. So that covers the whole, the most popular work holding setup for the Hardinge lathes. Thank you. And remember, everything's a project.